Programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Philippine Probiotics. Ito ay ang bagong food supplement na gawa sa mga piling gulay at prutas at dumaan sa isang masusing proseso para mapangalagaan ang inyong kalusugan. Ang Philippine Probiotics ay dinisenyo para sa kalusugan ng ating tiyan, tulungan ang pagkuha ng sapat na nutrisyon at ang pagpapalabas sa ating sistema ng mga nakakasirang toxins. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may iba't ibang disenyo at sangkap base sa inyong pangangailangan. Mula sa boost para sa mga bata, fortitude, boost to break, miracle fruit, periwinkle, at ang pinakabago, liverpool. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may pagmamalaki ng produktong gawa sa Taiwan. Ito ay mabibili sa Dasien, Geta Road, San Sebastian, Phase 3, Binauganang, Tarlac City. At para sa mga malalayong lugar, mabibili din ang produkto ng Equilibrium Probiotics sa Lazada. Ito ay eksklusibong gawa ni Ginang Malu Reyes Blu-ray. Ano pang hinihintay nyo, mga kasangga? Hala, bili na! MSB, Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Hatid sa inyo ni Kuya Dong. Magandang umaga, mga kasangga, mga kakampi. Nandito naman po ang inyong Kuya Dong na sinasamahan kayo sa isang kalahating oras ng pagbabalita. Welcome po sa ating daily dose of news, ang MSB, Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Maghahatid po ako ng isang mga nagbabagang balita at kaganapan sa loob at labas ng ating bansa sa loob lamang po ng 30 minuto, best effort. So, ngayon po, araw po ng Biyernes. So, nasa ano na po tayo, dulo na po tayo ng linggo. May 12, Friday. Araw na naman ng pahinga bukas. Sandali na lang po ang hihintayin natin, mga kasangga nagtatrabaho. Makakaraos din yung maghapon. At syempre, bago po natin simulan ang ating pagbabalita, ako'y samahan niyo muna sa isang maikling panalangin. Sa ngalan ng Ama at ng Anak, Espiritu Santo. Amen. Mahal naming lumikha, maraming salamat sa bagong araw na ipinagkaloob ninyo sa amin, sa mapayapang gabing lumipas, at sa patuloy na pagbuhos ng iyong mga biyaya sa amin at sa aming bayan. Naway ipagkaloob mo pa sa amin ang lakas at tibay ng loob upang mapaglabanan ang kasamaan at manatili po kami sa paggawa ng mabuti sa kapwa at pagsunod sa inyong itinurong tamang landas. Lahat ng gawain namin, inaali namin sa iyong anak na si Jesus, na aming Panginoon. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, Espiritu Santo. Amen. Pagkaloob ninyo sa on to our headline news from Philippine Star. Speaker warns Teves of expulsion Report by Delon Porcalia for the Philippine Star. Speaker Martin Romualdez warned suspended Negros Oriental Rep. Arnolfo Teves Jr. yesterday that his stern refusal to return from overseas and report to work may force their hand in the House of Representatives to expel him. Should Kong Arnie continue to defy the return to work order after the lapse of the 60-day period of his suspension, the House may be constrained to reconvene and consider another possible disciplinary action against him, Romualdez said. While the Speaker did not utter the word expulsion, the natural course of disciplinary action against a suspended member who fails to recompense would be just that. This is a recourse in order to preserve the dignity, integrity, and reputation of the House of Representatives, said Romualdez, who was in effect serving notice to Teves of what severe penalty their colleagues may decide to impose on him. Pamplona Mayor Janice Digamo, widow of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Digamo, who was killed in a commando-style attack on his residence last March 4, has filed a petition for Teves' expulsion with the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges headed by Rep. Philemon Espares. By virtue of 292 lawmakers who voted to approve the administrative sanction, Teves was slapped with a 60-day suspension last March 22, which means the punishment will expire on May 22 or before Congress goes on its June 2 break. Romualdez, who represents the 1st District of Leyte, currently serves as the caretaker representative of the 3rd District in Negros Oriental, while Teves remains in hiding abroad, claiming there is an imminent threat to his life in the Philippines. Rather than evade investigation by Philippine law enforcement agencies, Kong Arnie should return home immediately. I had repeatedly assured him that the House will secure his personal safety upon his return, said the Speaker. While President Marcos was in Indonesia for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit this week, Romualdez also commented the government of Timor-Leste for rejecting the request of Teves to seek political asylum in the country. He said Timor-Leste is on solid ground with this decision and that Marcos, who is his cousin, might even express gratitude to the foreign government's leaders for taking the right course of action. Marcos himself told reporters on the flight back to Manila yesterday that Teves must come home and face the murder charges to be filed against him. Come home! That's the best advice I can give him. Come home, said the president as he confirmed that the congressman's case was among the issues he had discussed with Timor-Leste Prime Minister Taur Matan Ruak. The two leaders held a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the 42nd ASEAN Summit in Labuan Bajo, Indonesia. It turns out that Congressman Arnie Teves applied for political asylum but was denied. That's it. So I think they will continue to go to the appeals process, Marcos said. Files for reconsideration. But Teves has filed a motion for reconsideration to obtain a protection visa in Timor-Leste after his bid for asylum was denied by the government. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla revealed that the Philippine Embassy in Timor-Leste informed him that Teves is asking the Timorese government to reconsider its denial.
Tevez has been in the capital city of Dili since last week, but has not returned home since charges were filed against him over weapons found in his properties, and since he was tagged as the mastermind of the so-called Pamplona massacre. The Department of Justice has since announced the authorities may soon process the cancellation of Teves' passport once murder charges are filed against him over the deadly March 4 attack that killed Degamo and 9 other people in Pamplona, Negros Oriental. Remulla has also sought Teves' designation as a terrorist to force him home and hinted at the filing of murder and frustrated murder charges against him as early as today. Lawyer warns against graft raps. Meanwhile, lawyers looking out for Teves' best interests warned that officials of the DOJ and the Department of Foreign Affairs may be charged with graft if the lawmaker's passport is revoked. However, Teves' lawyer Ferdinand Topacio said none of the 3 grounds for passport cancellation apply to his client's case. His passport can only be cancelled when he is a fugitive from justice, which he is not, when he is convicted by final judgment, and if the passport has been tampered with or fraudulently secured by the holder, Topacio told CNN Philippines in an interview. The lawyer reiterated that Teves is not a fugitive since no arrest warrants have been issued against him, considering that most of his cases are still at the DOJ level and that multiple murder and frustrated murder charges have yet to be filed against him. Remulla, however, insists that technically he's been a fugitive because he's been wanted for the legal processes that may be served upon him. But Topacio was clear that if authorities push through with canceling Teves' passport, we may have recourse to the courts to annul the action and to the ombudsman because that would be a case of graft. Topacio also mentioned that if murder or illegal possession of firearms charges are to be filed in court, Teves might consider house arrest, where he could be safe. Mayor tagged in sleigh. Meanwhile, a man who claims to have knowledge about Degamo's assassination turned up at the National Bureau of Investigation headquarters to tag Mayor Fritz in the governor's murder. Marlon Layasan Kibod, a resident of Hinobaan in the neighboring province of Negros Occidental, gave his sworn statement, which was later shown to media. In it, Kibod said he met a certain Arnel Lebradilla, a member of the New People's Army in October 2022, and that in January, the NPA rebel convinced him to work for a certain Brownie who had a project to kill Degamo. Kibud said he refused to take part in the plot to kill the governor and later found out that after Degamo was gunned down on March 4, Lebradilla was killed in a police operation 2 days later. Based on his statement, Kibod found out later that the Brownie he had met was Mayor Fritz, whose complete identity was not disclosed. There's a Mayor Fritz Diaz in the town of Siaton, Negros Oriental, associated with a group of Degamo and reported to have previously survived multiple attempts on his life, which he has blamed on the Teves camp. However, there is no confirmation from authorities if Diaz is the Mayor Fritz being alluded to by Kibod. Bato blows up in the Senate, where high-profile killings in Negros Oriental were being investigated. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa blew his top over a resource person who seemed to question his alleged association with either the Teves family or the Degamos. Speaking in Filipino, De La Rosa snapped back at the resource person, Colleen Pepino, widow of slain journalist Rex Cornelio, saying, "Remember that you cannot deceive me here. There are only two groups here, the Digamos and the Teves group. Even if you are not directly connected to Teves, you are effectively on his side because you are accusing the Digamos." Although he apologized to Pepino later on, the former chief of the Philippine National Police and head of the panel said he was not saying she was on Teves payroll or side, but that he was aware that her lawyer is associated with Teves. Pepino replied that she was only referred to that lawyer because she did not have money to pay for her own, and asked if De La Rosa if he could provide her with one, but Senator declined in the interest of him staying neutral and objective. During the hearing, De La Rosa also questioned the daughter of lawyer Romel Eramis, who processed and posted bail for policeman Noel Alabata, even though he used a different name, Ronald Tan. Eramis said they were not Alabata's lawyers, but they were the only ones who posted bail, since his sister presented them with complete requirements and IDs. De La Rosa seemed to lecture Eramis, saying, "Due diligence on your part should be exercised. You are performing your law profession. You allowed yourself to be used by people who use the wrong identity despite being a well-established law firm." Expressing his doubts over the testimony, the senator added, "It is hard to accept that you were fooled. Something must be wrong." Reports by Neil Jason Cervallos, Helen Flores, Gio Ong, Cecil Suerte Felipe. Nangongo na yung aking speaker. Beke naman. Moving on to the next headline news. From Philstar, Comelec, 400,000 double registrants for barangay polls. Report by Evelyn Macairan for the Philippine Star. The Commission on Elections has so far uncovered more than 400,000 double or multiple registered voters for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan Elections, BSKE, on October 30. Comelec Chairman George Erwin Garcia yesterday said this double or multiple registrants registered from December 12, 2022 to January 31, 2023. He hopes that the Comelec would finish its assessment by the end of May. He added that the Comelec expects the number of double multiple registered voters to reach 500,000 naman. Since 2010, the Commission has been implementing its automated fingerprinting identification system that allows them to match the fingerprint of one registrant to fingerprints belonging to around 68 million over registered voters nationwide. Pwede naman palang gawin ito. In line with the cleaning of the list of registered voters, Garcia added that they are also planning to meet with all election registration boards. We should be issuing a directive to hold a special meeting of election registered boards in the entire country so that we could weed out double multiple registered voters, Garcia said. In an interview with ANC, he noted that the Comelec would run after those behind the fraudulent registrations. We are going to expose that. We are going to make a detail as to when or where all the places where there are double or multiple registrants, Garcia said. Senator Amy Marcos earlier pushed for Senate investigation on the questionable search in voter registrants for the forthcoming village and youth polls. The poll body earlier said it would release the voters list for the BSKE before August 1st. Next on our top news, bad news for parents and students. Universities, colleges seeking tuition hike. Report by Cecile Suerte Felipe for the Philippine Star. State universities and colleges and local universities and colleges are seeking an increase in tuition and miscellaneous fees after the 5-year moratorium lapsed last year, which signals a bigger storm coming. The chief of the Commission on Higher Education told the Senate panel yesterday. During the public hearing of the Senate Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education chaired by Senator Francis Escudero, CHED Chairman Prospero de Vera said many of the SUCs have passed board resolutions to increase their tuition rates. If you want a bigger headache, I would like to inform you, Mr. Chair, that the 5-year moratorium on SUCs and LUCs that they cannot increase their tuition fee actually lapsed in 2022. So now, many of the SUCs have already passed board resolutions to increase their tuition rates, and they have submitted it to CHED, De Vera said. He added, the position of CHED is that we cannot decide on the matter because the reimbursement of the tuition and miscellaneous fees is determined by the Department of Budget and Management. So if they want us, if they send us their decision that they are increasing the tuition fee, we send it to the DBM because we cannot act on it. We do not know whether it is correct or not because we are the ones that determine whether these amounts will be reimbursed. So that is the bigger storm coming, the CHED chief noted. De Vera made the disclosure as Escudero raised the issue of the absence of clear guidelines on enrollment in SUCs and LUCs, as many of them maintain the number of enrollees, while others increase the number of enrollees without hesitation. De Vera said the power to determine the number of students to be admitted in SUCs and LUCs lies with the Board of Regents of individual higher education institution under Republic Act 8292. It's really a decision made by the board. So CHED, sent out a memorandum saying you can only increase by 2%, 3%, or 4%. This is a decision of the board. So the different boards of the SUCs decided individually how to do it, he said. We cannot act on it because we have no legal basis to approve it or say it is good because we are not the ones reimbursing the money. We cannot commit the funds that are reimbursable because we are not part of the decision making, he added. Escudero tackled the proposal of Senator Mark Villar for an act institutionalizing the expanded tertiary education equivalency, and accreditation program, as poverty remains a hindrance to a student's aspiration to graduate. Villas said the ETIAP is an alternative education program in the Philippines that allows working professionals either unable to finish their college education or completely unable to step into college for different reasons to earn a bachelor's degree without going through traditional schooling methods. Living below the poverty line normally causes students to surrender their dream careers and immediately seek jobs to help with family expenses. This is very true, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, where the poor chose their family survival at the expense of the dreams of their children. Villar's explanatory note read, while they were able to gain immediate income due to their employment, it cannot be denied that they need to continue their education for them to qualify for promotion and salary increase, as it entails educational qualification despite vast knowledge and experience, he added. Under ETIAP, work experience is evaluated and converted to creditable educational units to reduce the number of subjects that a working professional has to earn to obtain a degree. Through this bill, the existing ETIAP shall be strengthened and the criteria for basic qualifications shall be laid down by the law to make it more accessible to Filipinos who want to earn a degree while working, Villar said. So good news to those who were not able to continue their college and are currently working. Kung papasa po itong bill nito, may chance pa po kayo na makuha ang inyong diploma doon sa kursong gusto ninyong kuhanin. Let's pray that this bill gets through. Moving on to our global headlines. Updates on the ASEAN Summit. Southeast Asian nations. Report from Philippine Star. Southeast Asian nations have made no significant progress on implementing a peace plan to end the bloodshed in Myanmar, Indonesian President Joko Widodo said Thursday as the summit wrapped up. Violence in junta-ruled Myanmar dominated the three-day meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations on the Indonesian island of Flores. Since the Myanmar military ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi's government in 2021, it has overseen a bloody crackdown on dissent that has killed thousands of people. A report from Agence France Presse. Next on our global news, China's inflation edged up by 1%. This is for global economy. China's inflation rate edged up by 0.1% year-on-year in April, the slowest rate recorded since 2021. Official figures showed Thursday, signaling a weak recovery after lifting pandemic curbs. Producer prices fell for the seventh consecutive month due to sluggish domestic demand and lower commodity costs. Data released by Beijing's National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) showed April's consumer price index, the main gauge of inflation, was the lowest level recorded since February of 2021 and fell below the 0.3% increase forecast by analysts polled by Bloomberg. Report by agency France Press to Philippine Star. And final for our global headline updates on the Sudan clashes. The UN Rights Chief Thursday called on the international community to exert all possible pressure on the fighting sides in Sudan to resolve the conflict and end the wanton violence. The fighting has plunged this much suffering country into catastrophe, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk said, addressing a special session of the UN Human Rights Council on the situation in Sudan. He urged all states with influence in the region to encourage all possible means the resolution of this crisis. Reports from Agence France Presse. And now for our regional updates. Boy 5 dies after eating grilled frog. Report by Jan Unson for the Philippine Star. Cotabato City, Philippines. A 5-year-old boy died while his 4 siblings were hospitalized after eating grilled frog in Purok Piña in Barangay Dicañas, Dipolog City on Wednesday. Sources from the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office said the siblings of the fatality remain confined in a hospital in Dipolog. The Office of Dipolog Mayor Darrell Uy gave assurance that the city government will provide assistance to the victims. Yung bullfrog po, hindi po yan linuluto, hindi po yan kinakain ha. Yung bullfrog, yung makakapal po yung balat niyan. Kaya ingat-ingat po tayo. Hindi po lahat ng palaka pwedeng kainin. And the last of our regional headlines, aid to oil spill victims reaches 1 billion pesos. Report by Michael Punongbayan for the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. Nearly 1 billion in cash and other assistance have been provided to 40,733 families affected by the oil spill from the sunken tanker Princess Empress. Rafi Alejandro, spokesperson for the Office of Civil Defense, said various government agencies are helping address the problem through a whole-of-nation approach. The actions taken by concerned government agencies were discussed during a meeting of the National Task Force on Oil Spill Management at Camp Aguinaldo yesterday. The Department of Social Welfare and Development reported that it has provided 430.9 million in assistance with the distribution of family food packs and non-food items as well as cash aid under the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations program. emergency cash transfer, and cash for work. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources said early recovery assistance worth 517 million was distributed to 96,256 beneficiaries in Mimaropa, Calabarzon, and Western Visayas. The DNR is conducting water quality monitoring and waste management activities in the affected shorelines. The Philippine Coast Guard said 84.26% of the affected coastlines have been acceptably cleaned as of Wednesday. The PCG said joint shoreline surveys and activities with the DNR and Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, as well as collaboration with contracted oil waste collectors and international agencies for the oil spill containment and recovery operations are ongoing. The Department of Health has been conducting surveillance of drinking water resources. It is also monitoring individuals exposed to chemicals. Moving on to sports. Bad news. Updates on the ASEAN. On the SEA Games. Gilas takes bitter loss to Cambodia. Report by John Brian Ulanday for the Philippine Star. Gilas Pilipinas fell prey to host Cambodia 79-68 in a highly anticipated duel and took its first defeat in the 32nd Southeast Asian Games men's basketball tournament last night at the Mordok Teko Stadium Elephant Hall 2 in Phnom Penh. Range against a team featuring a bevy of naturalized players, the Nationals struggled all game long and succumbed to one of the rarest defeats in history for a massive dent to their gold medal redemption bid after bridesmaid finish to Indonesia in the last edition. Christian Standhardinger was one lone bright star with 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists as the rest of the squad fired blanks in a forgettable night also marred by problems on the Taraflex floor and an exhausting atmosphere without air conditioning. Dapat pala mga players ng taga Maligaya pinadala kung sana yung maglaro walang air condition. Chris Newsome added 11 on 4 of 10 clip, while naturalized player Justin Brownlee converted only 3 of 12 attempts for 10 points in one of his poorest performances since being a resident import in the Philippines in 2016. In and out of the game, Brownlee struggled under the intense heat as players stumbled here and there, running up and down the slippery flooring. Gumamit kayo ng Coke sa sapatos nyo. Calvin of Tana was the first casualty in Gilas' first game and was officially diagnosed with grade 2 calf strain. Di nila alam yung paglalagay ng Coke sa digoma. Gilas faces Singapore tomorrow, needing a victory to advance to the semis, where it will likely meet reigning champion and 2022 tormentor Indonesia. If things fall into place, Gilas will earn a rematch with Cambodia in the gold medal game. Meanwhile, Gilas Pilipinas women scored another blowout win, thrashing Singapore 94-63. The Filipina ballers picked up from where they left off following a 60-point debut win against host Cambodia. Sad news. A Filipino boxer dies after collapsing in ring. Report by Dino Maragay for Philippine Star. The Filipino boxer who collapsed in the ring and slipped into a coma after winning his fight last Saturday in Cavite has died. Kenneth Tegano, a bantamweight prospect, passed away Wednesday due to head injuries he sustained in his 8th-round bout against countryman Jason Facularin at the Imus Sports Gymnasium in Imus, Cavite. The 22-year-old Egano collapsed in his corner while awaiting the decision on his bout with Facularin in the undercard of the blow-by-blow boxing show promoted by Filipino icon Manny Pacquiao. The General Santos City-based boxer was stretchered off and rushed to the Imus Doctors Hospital, where he was placed in a coma after suffering brain hemorrhage. In a Facebook post, the Games and Amusement Board, which oversees pro sports in the country, including boxing, mourned Egano's passing and expressed condolences to the boxer's family. Pacquiao, for his part, was reported to have promised to take care of Egano's medical expenses. There is nothing more precious than human life, Pacquiao said from General Santos City upon hearing of what happened to Egano. Boxing is truly a dangerous sport, and the boxers deserve nothing but respect as they put their lives on the line. Other sports you play, but you don't play boxing, added Pacquiao. Egano, who won over Facularin via unanimous decision, had the final record of 7-1 with 3 knockouts. Our condolences to the family of Kenneth Egano. For the followers of the UAAP volleyball, women's volleyball, here is an update. Report from Philstar Pangmasa. Kanino focus sa UAAP crown? Report by Chris Ko for Pangmasa. Wala sa isip ni Angel Canino ang MVP award dahil mas gugustuhin itong mabigyan ng kampyonato ang De La Salle University sa UAAP Season 85 Women's Volleyball Tournament. Malakas ang hiyawan ng mga fans sa tuwing nasa serve area si Canino. Kaliwat kanan na sigawan ng MVP, MVP. Ngunit ayaw ni Canino na pumasok ito sa kanyang isip. Nais ng super rookie na isentro ang atensyon sa bawat laro, lalo pat haharap ang Lasal sa importanteng Game 2 kontra sa defending champion National University sa Linggo. Di ko siya iniisip. Mas nakafocus ako sa game natin, yung championship talaga. Ani Canino na isa sa mga nangungunang kandidato bilang Rookie of the Year, Season MVP at Best Outside Spiker. Ilan sa mga matinik na kalaban ni Canino sa MVP race ay sina reigning MVP Bella Belen ng NU, Jolina De La Cruz ng La Salle at El Laure ng University of Santo Tomas. And last of our news roundup for today in sports. Updates from the NBA. Warriors Knicks stay alive. Report by Agency France Press 2, Philippine Star. San Francisco. The Golden State Warriors kept their NBA title defense alive on Wednesday with a 121-106 victory over the Los Angeles Lakers, who saw star center Anthony Davis depart after taking a blow to the head. The Warriors cut the deficit in their Western Conference semifinal series to 3-2. The New York Knicks also stayed alive as Jalen Brunson scored 38 points in a 112-103 victory over the Miami Heat at Madison Square Garden that pushed their Eastern Conference semifinal series to a sixth game. Golden State and New York now must win on the road on Friday to give themselves a chance to win their respective series on Sunday. Only 13 NBA teams have rallied from 3-1 down to a win series. The Warriors did it against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2016 Western Conference Finals. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers team led by LeBron James did the same against them in the NBA Finals. Coming into this game, we just wanted to win one. Give ourselves a chance, knowing that we have a big game 6 down in LA, and we obviously need that one to stay alive. Warriors star Stephen Curry told broadcaster TNT. Curry scored 27 points to lead 6 Warriors players in double figures. Andrew Wiggins scored 25 points. Draymond Green delivered a double-double of 20 points and 10 rebounds. All the way up and down the roster, there were contributions, Curry said. The Lakers are unbeaten at home this postseason, but they could find themselves without Davis, who departed in the fourth quarter after taking an inadvertent elbow to the head from Golden State's Kevon Looney. A rattled Davis, who scored 23 points and grabbed 9 rebounds, headed for the bench and was eventually helped to a locker room, not returning to the game. He took a shot to the head. Lakers coach Darvin Ham said after the game, he seems to be doing really good already. That's the status right now. James led the Lakers with 25 points, but Los Angeles couldn't match the energy of the desperate Warriors. Curry drained a three-pointer at the halftime buzzer to give Golden State a 70-59 halftime lead. Wiggins' pullback dunk pushed the Warriors' lead to 18 points early in the third quarter. They led by double digits most of the second half, but Austin Reeves drilled a three-pointer that cut the deficit to 9 with 5 minutes 25 seconds remaining. Curry responded with a step-back jumper and a three-pointer, and the Lakers wouldn't get the deficit under 10 again. In New York, the Knicks built a 19-point lead in the third quarter, then fended off a late Miami charge to cut the deficit in their series 3-2. You've got to give them credit. That's a hard team to play, said Brunson, who played all 48 minutes, but we just came out to fight. We didn't get discouraged with a 10-point deficit in the first quarter. We just kept fighting, said Brunson, who added 9 rebounds and 7 assists. That concludes our news roundup for today, May 12, 2023, Friday. Ano muna tayo? Bati muna. So Daisy Carlos is watching, and Rurik Felix Villanos also watching. Good morning sa inyo, mga kasangga, mga kaibigan, kasama. So that concludes our updates for today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, mga kasangga. Thanks for joining me.